Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids for news on a Sunday. I know, this is bizarre. Sunday evening, no less. Absolutely crazy. Like, I think it's 8 p.m. over in Ukraine right now, and Plarium is sending us news. Okay, all right, let's do it. So here we go. This definitely begs the question for me as to what the heck is going to be happening during the week if they're pushing news out on a Sunday instead of Monday like they normally would. Does that mean there's going to be a ton of interesting stuff happening on top of this? I just don't know. So what we have going on, we have 10x events, different ones, every single day this week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I believe on Friday it should be scheduled to be 2x for ancient shards, I think is what is coming up. I'm about 90% sure. I'm a bit out of whack actually, because since my holiday I haven't been paying attention too much. I think it's 2x ancients on Friday, but that will be confirmed when we get there. We are still, of course, waiting for a potential maybe heroes path or something involving soul stones, something that could come too. But let's focus on what we do know is coming this week. So on Monday, it's the 26th of June, there's going to be a 10x for two different champions from ancients and sacreds. We're going to have Mashald. Very, very solid champion. Actually, I don't have him. I think he's very nice. People, generally speaking, quite like him. He comes in, he puts out the AoE True Fear and Leech with AoE increased speed and crit damage for your team. Then his A1 basically attacks all enemies under Leech debuffs, which is really, really strong. So part of what makes him so good is that obviously against Hydra boss is probably where he's the strongest. And the reason he's so good is that AoE attacks against Hydra all get their damage reduced by the Hydra Head passive. So Head of Suffering in particular reduces AoE damage by 30%. Massive damage reduction. This technically is not an AoE attack, even though it is in a way. It's single target attacks against all the enemies at the same time. So it bypasses all of those AoE damage reduction things, which makes him hit quite hard. He's also, I think for Doom Tower, he could be really good with that True Fear. And again, that damage output, very strong to increase speed. The speed's great for Hydra as well. He can be very good in Arena, but that's more of an early game thing. Because obviously when you're going in and people start having stone skin and stuff like that, you're not going to actually be able to put the True Fear and Leech on them, or when they've got, decent resistance on their champions. It's going to be more difficult. You can also steal all buffs. This hits very hard, like 50% bonus damage against targets at no buffs. This hits hard. So yeah, Mashalti's great. He's a good one. We'll talk about whether it's worth pulling for this and which days to pull your shards on after, because we need to cover all the champions first. Spoiler warning, this is probably going to be the best Void one though. Nekret the Great, this is the big one. Tomorrow, Monday, 26th of June, from Void Shard, 10x event for Nekret the Great. This is one of the top dogs in Arena. There's no question about it. He is a beast, coming in and protecting one of your champions at the start of each round. So it's basically impossible to prevent this. The ally protection, he gives them a massive shield as well. So just so much protection for your squishy nukers. And the ally attack he can bring in with those nukers can be very potent as well. You think about, let's say, probably the best squishy nuker in the game is probably Jorgid right now, right? Jorgid the Breaker. He comes in with that ally attack, and that A1 can just rip people apart. It's very strong. So Nekret the Great, he is incredibly, incredibly good. One of the best Arena champs in the game, without question. So that's going to be a high priority for a lot of people. On Tuesday, the 27th of June, from your Ancient and Sacred Shards, we're going to have Walking Tomb Drang, a former fusion. I think that's really sort of come up in the world since then. He's really been a fantastic champion. Yeah, one of the best fusions they've done, actually. I would actually rate him very highly for Hydra. I think he's a bit underrated. I probably haven't done enough videos on him myself to try to push him a bit harder, because he is so strong for that. Spider, he's great as well with the AoE burn that cannot be resisted. I do actually use him in my Spider hard team right now, because it's a 100% chance to burn everyone. No resists. Whereas other burn champions, apart from Ignatius, have a 3% chance for their stuff to be resisted, which can ruin your HP burn strategies. For Spider, he cannot be resisted. It's fantastic. I use him alongside Sissia and Artak. Right, check out my Artak video to see that in action. Super good. He also has this equalize HP thing. Toomdrang, I think, is relevant late game in Spider because of this burn. I think he's relevant late game in Ice Golem. I use him with Elva to duo the boss. The two of them can kill the boss. So for duoing Ice Golem, he's extremely, extremely good for that. He's very solid for Sand Devil as well, because he's putting out the burns and he explodes them with his A1. He's a decent champ for stage maybe 25. I think he's pretty okay at. It's slow, but it works. Him plus Godseeker can duo stage 25, which is nice. And brilliant champion for Hydra, putting out the burns, exploding them, healing your team is very strong. Even, taking less damage or doing more damage, pretty nice as well. Or reflecting damage, excuse me, or doing more damage. And a nice aura too. So Toomdrang is very good, very strong, one of the better fusions. Oh, speaking of, oh no, never mind. Not speaking of better fusions yet. The Void champion on Tuesday is Hegemon. This guy surprised me as having an actually okay win rate in live arena, which did surprise me. I guess he's kind of still nice as a counter to those speed teams. Like when you see your opponent picking champions and you kind of get the vibe that they're not in Stone Skin, being able to come in and go first in each round is kind of cool. You can build him to focus on crowd control, or you can build him to focus on damage. So two different ways, which I think is intriguing. He's obviously good, again, in that lower tier of arena, or for newer players, I should say. That's probably the more accurate way to put it. For people that haven't been playing the game as long, and therefore haven't farmed up and start building their champs in Stone Skin, he can be very strong in arena. He does get flustered by Stone Skin, because going first each round, if the enemy team is in Stone Skin, is not very helpful. But yeah, he's great for that. He's also very good for Dark Fae. And he's very good, I would say, for just Doom Tower waves in general. And he's good for Faction Wars too. So I think Hegemon is actually a good, solid champion. And maybe a little bit better than I give him credit for. I think he's definitely not top 10 Voids by any means, shape, or form. Maybe back in the day, he was considered really good. But since Stone Skin, he's sort of fallen off that niche a bit. But still remaining relevant and actually decent. Someone that's more than decent, I would say. Previous fusion. This is on Wednesday, the 28th of June. We're going to have Helicath come in. I will actually be doing a video. Maybe I'll do it on Wednesday of Helicath in live arena. Is something I want to do because I think it's so interesting. I talked about him as being a bit overrated in live arena in a previous video. But I want to actually dive in and test it out. Because again, going back in that video, I said he's overrated. He's not like God tier for live arena, but he's still good. And that's what I want to explore, because there's a lot of different ways to build him. Do you build him for damage? Do you build him for speed? How do you build him? How is that going to pan out? I'm expecting him to be a situational but useful addition to anyone's live arena roster. Again, not going to be your God tier carry every single fight, but something that's good to whip out every now and then because of this block, mostly because of this block damage for 2 turns on a 4-turn cooldown. That's so powerful, so impactful. One of the best fusions they've ever done as well, right? This opens up Iron Twins. This opens up Unkillable for Demon Lord. So strong for those sorts of things. Anywhere Unkillable is good, this guy is good, basically. Well, block damageable. That version of Unkillable. But yeah, he also brings out a really good shield, and his A1 is decent damage, and he counterattacks whenever someone is hit with block damage on, which is nice. His damage isn't crazy, but we'll test him out. We'll test him out. Stay tuned for that video during the week. I've got mine built up and booked, and we can switch our builds on him, try him in a couple of different builds across a bunch of live arena fights, and we'll see how I feel he is and which builds to go for. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Should be fun. The other champion on Wednesday, the one from Voids, is a champion that I am actually quite hyped about as being a potentially great champ for live arena, is an Aneathway Blood Twin. Don't have him. The thing about Aneathway, he also has crazy base attack, which is funny. He doesn't hit super hard, but his A2 does do quite good damage, right? The damage increases equal to the percent of HP the target has lost. So if someone is even a little bit injured, he can finish them off. And what's the point of this? Enemies killed by this champion cannot be revived, right? Just all of his stuff. Every single move he does will block revive. I do believe even Soul Reap blocks revive. Is that right? I think it is. I think that even, damage he could proc from sets or blessings or anything, I think anything he does will block revive, I'm pretty sure, which is really nice. But this is so strong, I think, in live arena because, well, I mean, tanky revivers are kind of the meta. Well, if you secure a kill on and kind of makes it so like, oh, it's really hard to kill the tanky reviver. They keep bringing the damage dealer back, though. You know, it's tough to get through that. If you kill somebody, he kind of keeps them dead, I guess is the point. And especially in live arena, I think he's very good. In tag arena, he's very good, where you can maybe, the teams aren't going to be, the best possible champs that they can be because there's ban phases and stuff, which lets him be stronger compared to, let's say, classic arena, where he's not going to be that good because it's everyone's best champions. It's a very synergized team. In tag arena, you could definitely use him to target a specific team, and for live arena, I think he's quite good. So he's an interesting one for sure. Would I pull for him in a 10x? No, but he's an interesting one. And then finally on Thursday, a bad pair of champions, I will be honest. We have these all been for different, yeah, interesting. We've had Undead is on Monday, Tuesday was Night Rev, Wednesday was Demon Spawn, and Thursday is Dark Elves. Maybe there's going to be some sort of corrupted tournament on as well, like corrupted only dragon or something like that, Be interesting to see if they're going to do stuff tying in with this during the week. This is the worst day, though. So from Ancient and Sacreds is Noct the Paralyzer. I have this guy, and I just have not found any particular place in the game where I'm like, wow, I really want to use this guy. Part of the problem is that I'm pretty late game now at this point, so I've got so many good champions that he doesn't stand out to me. I think if I was earlier in the game, he could have come in and really been a big deal. People love him for Faction Wars, Sand Devil. They find him very helpful. I mean, that's something that's worth noting, right? He does, whenever an ally under ally protection is attacked, he can sleep the attacker. So I think he could maybe do some really cool stuff for Sand Devil. I will be honest, though, I'm not 100% sure what those teams might be and what stage that would be viable up to, so I don't know. He does have a sleep on his A2 as well. Decreased accuracy A1, continuous heal and ally protection A3. I do feel like he is built for Sand Devil, but I just haven't seen anyone use it well. I mean, not to say it can't be done, but I just haven't personally seen it. I'd be curious if any of you do use him for high levels of Sand Devil. If you could let me know in the comments, I'd be really curious. Like I said, I have Noct, so I could book him out in CVC and do a video on it. I'd be totally up for that. But he is there, and again, for me, an underwhelming option for Ancient or Sacred 10x. And then Blind Seer is coming in as well for the Void 10x here. Really an outdated champion. Great if you pull her early in the game, fantastic. But yeah, look, she comes in with block debuffs and a big shield on a 3 turn. Then she does have an AoE revive with block damage on a 5 turn. I think this champion is quite underpowered by modern Void Legendary standards. She's one of the worst ones, just again compared to other Void Legendaries. So yeah, I think if you got her early game, she'd hard carry you. There's no question. But I think would I be, if I was building up my Mercy timer for Void Shards, I'm like, ooh, I can pull my Void Shards and definitely get a legendary. Would I be going for her over Nekret the Great this week? There's pretty much zero chance. Even if I had one Nekret already, I'd rather probably have a second Nekret than a Blind Seer. Almost definitely. She does empower Mithrala, but that's, I don't think, a reason for a normal person to pull in a 10x event. That'd be quite weird. Maybe if you're Mega Kraken, but I mean, you do you if you are. So there we go. What do we think of this? I would say if you're pulling for Void Shards, my vote 100% goes for Nekret the Great on Monday. I think that's really, really good. Hegemon, Enithwe, and Blind Seer. I think they're all interesting champions to have, and they're all interesting champions to build and to use potentially. But for me, none of them are worth pulling my Void Shards for in a 10x. It's just not worth it when you have champions like Taras Marishka in there, even Baron in there, Sifi, etc. Right? There's so many OP Void Legendaries. Those ones are not strong enough for me to pull in the 10x. Nekret is, though. He's one of the top ones, so that's worth it. For Ancients and Sacreds, we've got Mashald, Walking Tomb Drang, Helikath, and Noct the Paralyzer. So definitely a wooden pull for Noct. Helikath and Walking Tomb Drang are both great. They're previous fusions. Mashald is really nice. I would say most likely my vote again would probably go for Monday for Mashald. I think for more people, just because he's not a previous fusion, so it's less likely that you have him. But he's pretty good. I would say he's sort of a luxury champion. Like he's not super needed. Whereas I think Walking Tomb Drang maybe has the most interesting uses as a Hydra champion and like Ice Golem duo champion and all that sort of stuff. Like, I don't know. Now there's Artak. Maybe it's not as important. I don't know. Let me know. What do you think? So that's the thing. Before Artak, I think Artak does open up some of those duo options as well for some of this stuff. But I mean, Drangster, I use Drang in my Ice Golem team and Spider team, so I rate him pretty highly even for endgame. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think. Which ones would you go for, if any? The big question remains: will we see any sort of summoning event pop on the week, tomorrow for this stuff? I'm really curious. Or is it going to exist totally in a vacuum? If it is totally in a vacuum, I can totally see whales or krakens going for Nekret. Of course, if you don't have Nekret and you're a whale, you're probably going for him. But apart from that, interesting champions. But I don't know. Yeah, not. It's just weird. Right, there we go. Thanks for watching this random Sunday night video. I will see you all next time. Goodbye.